Hello kiddos, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Yes, it's been a minute and I'm here back to do like another video that is going to be about books, of course, but also I want to do something a little bit different. Usually at this time of the month, everyone is doing wrap-ups on like how their month has been going on reading, and I actually wanted to switch it up a little bit and do something a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is this mid-year tag.
Florals for spring. Groundbreaking.
So what I mean by that is like I'm going to put in categories what are the best books that I have read during this first half of the year. I have read 40 books so far. So yeah, the year has been flying and I better start with this video before it is 2023. Okay, the first category that we're going to talk about is the best book that I have read in 2022. And for me, that book is going to be Hamlet. Yes, I know you might not be surprised because I have done a whole blog on like how I read this book and how much I love it. What I love about this book is like it put in such a different perspective a famous character that is, in this case, Shakespeare. We know so much about him, we know so much about his story, but all the context of that time and also the context of his family is something that is not very known for many of us. I think that was one of the things that I started enjoying a lot in this one, because I know that so many people think about this book as such a slow burn because there are not things happening all the time, but that's not the point of this book. The point of it is to know what the feelings are of these people that they didn't have voices in the past. It's actually very beautifully written. The way that Maggie O'Farrell described the scenes, the places, you just are going to fall in love with it as much as I do. As you know, I also went to Stratford and I went to check Shakespeare's house, and actually that added so much to the whole experience of reading this book. Beautiful writing, beautiful characters, interesting characters, plus you're going to sob at the end of this book, I promise. So yeah, definitely love it, and the best book that I have read in 2022 so far. Okay, the second category is best sequel. So for this category, it wasn't actually that hard to think about it because I didn't read many sequels. Hook, Line and Sinker. It's actually a sequel because it's in the same universe, but at the same time, it's different characters. In this case, the main character is the sister of the main character in the first book. It's also a love story, and even though I didn't love that much the love interest in this second book, I think that the whole story was developed in a way that it was very entertaining, and I think that that is one of the most important things when we're reading a comedy. It has also a lot of spicy scenes, but even though I didn't enjoy that much that scenes, I think that the whole book is very nice, and yeah, that was the best sequel that I have read in 2022. Then the upcoming releases that I'm more excited for. For me, this category has 3 books. It was very hard to pick only one. I think that the first one is one that we actually all are waiting for, and that is It Starts With Us. The sequel was actually the prequel of It Ends With Us, the famous book by Colin Hoover. So yeah, we're all waiting for that one. It Ends With Us. It was one of my favorite books by Colin Hoover, and I think that the whole story is very, very nice. But I'm not going to go into many details on that, but I'm just going to say that I can't wait. I can't wait to read It Starts With Us. I think that is going to be amazing. Then the second book that I'm actually super excited to read is Less is Lost, which is the sequel of Less by Andrew Sean Greer. It was one of the books that I have read last year, actually. This book centers on the life of Les and the way that he is trying to cope with the fact that the love of his life is going to get married. It has one of the most amazing endings. So when the sequel was actually announced, I was super excited because the way that Andrew writes about these characters, it's funny, it's smart, it's entertaining, it's full of great quotes and great metaphors as well. So I really love the style of writing, and I can't wait to see what Les is going to do next. And one of those characters that live in my mind rent-free. Yeah. And the third one that I am waiting for, and oh my god, I can't wait for August because that's when it's going to be released. It's Carrie Soto Is Back, which is the new book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. They say that some of the characters from Daisy Jones and the Six are going to be here, and that's something that she does a lot. Like some of the characters from the other books are part of the new books. I think that that book is going to be amazing, and we're all going to be talking about that in a couple of months. Oh my god, it's next month. Next month is August. A new release that I haven't read yet. Well, for that I picked Family of Liars. This is the sequel for We Were Liars. That was a book that was equally hated and loved on BookTok. It was this book by E. Lockhart that has one of the greatest twists that I read last year. So she announced that she's going to do a prequel of that book that is actually this one, Family of Liars. I started it, but I haven't finished. But I have to say that so far it's not one of the best books that I have read. I'm actually like taking my time to get into it because it's not because it's a hard book to understand or anything like that. Like actually it's completely the opposite. Just too many characters and you feel like the way that she's describing the whole scenery just like going over and over around the same things. It's a little bit slow and it's taking like a little bit longer than what I expected to get into the action. I'm going to do a full review of this book, of course, when I finish it. I'm super excited anyways to read it, and I was super excited when it came out because I liked a lot We Were Liars, and actually I gave the book to one of my friends and she loved it as well. So it's something that, you know, when you bond with someone about something like a movie, a book, a show or something like that, it becomes a little bit more important. So that's what happened with me and We Were Liars. I think I have now certain love for that book just because my friend loves it as well. Now, the biggest disappointment. The biggest disappointment for me was The Club. This book by Eleanor Lloyd wasn't my cup of tea, if you know what I mean. I think that, yeah, of course you know what I mean. I actually expected so much from it. I thought it was going to be super mysterious and suspenseful and full of twists and very interesting characters, and it was kind of like halfway in all these expectations. It has a full cast of characters that are there for nothing. It just goes over and over about the same event to the point that you're halfway through the book and I just lost interest. I didn't care. I didn't care who killed this person. I didn't care about anything. But yeah, ended up being my biggest disappointment of 2022 so far. The biggest surprise. I'm actually going to pick two books for my biggest surprise. The first one of them, it's Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. It's actually a memoir. It was one of the funniest yet saddest memoirs. It tells the story of Lori while she was getting separated in that time, like going through a breakup, and she was like being like super sad. So being a therapist, she kind of like sees the relationship that she's analyzing as a little bit of a reflection on what she's going through. And at the same time, she starts going to her own therapist, and all those thoughts and the things and lessons that she learns during this period of time are all in here. And what makes it so interesting and so lovable is the fact that we can all relate to this. We all have been through breakups that we think that we're never going to go through. I just loved it. I cannot speak. I was listening as an audiobook and then have to find physical book because I needed it. I needed to have it. The other one that was actually like a big surprise was My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. What surprised me is that the main character is this wealthy girl that and then she makes so many bad decisions and it's so unlikable. And what surprised me about the book is like how you start to hate her and at the same time you start to understand her, and while you do, you feel more connected to the whole story and the reasons on why she decided to take pills to sleep and to spend the whole year basically sleeping. Yes, a very depressing book and a very dark book, but at the same time it has very funny moments. It was one of the biggest surprises because I didn't thought I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. Favorite new author, not surprising here, of course, Maggie O'Farrell, the author of Hamlet, just because of what I said, the style in which she writes is just beautiful in that book, and it makes me read another one of her books that it's called I Am, I Am, I Am. It's a memoir that talks like about 17 moments in her life in which she was meant to be dead.
No! God, please, no! No!
And the way that she talks about all these moments will make you go through a lot of emotions. It's sad, scary, it's everything, and it's also even funny in some moments. So to have the talent to put all these things into words and all these emotions into words and to be able to put you in such a roller coaster while you're reading it, I think that is just pure talent, and that's what Maggie O'Farrell is for me and has become one of my favorite authors. I choose a book that I actually it's very out of my comfort zone, and that is Project Hail Mary. It's a book that I have seen a lot. The main character is called Rylan. He became one of my favorite characters. Why? Because the situation that he finds himself in, that it's waking up in this spaceship where the whole crew is dead, and he has to find out why he has been there and why he has to save the planet, basically. Happens in a way that it's very smart and it's funny and it has a sense of humor all throughout it. Even though the whole situation is very catastrophic, you always find something that he thinks that will make you laugh. To have the sense of humor even on the bad situations, it's one of the things that I love the most about people. I'm going to talk about this book in another video, but yeah, that was one of my favorite characters. Now the next one is a book that has made me cry, and for this one I will choose No One Is Talking About This. It's funny that I put this book in this category because, I don't know, it's something that I never expected from this book. And actually the reasons why it made me cry is how realistic it is. The first half of the book, hated it. The second half of the book, loved it. And the whole concept is something that I always think about. I think that it's really powerful. It's something that we all can relate, mostly on this time where social media is part of our lives in the way that it is. And actually, yes, it made me cry. The second part of this book made me cry. And that doesn't happen very often, actually. A book that made me happy. For this one, I read it on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical copy, and that would be Love and Other Words. The reason why I put it here, it's because it's one of those stories that will always makes you smile. You know, it's one of those chances to see the developing of a story, like a love story between characters that are very adorable. And you know that when the things are like as in life, like when things are going well, you are going to be happy. And I love the concept of this game of words that they have in the book. The most beautiful book I bought, I think it reference to the cover, and the first one is this one, We Were Never Here. I think that the cover is beautiful. I love the colors, the palette of colors that are here. And the other one is this one, this version of Malibu Rising. This cover I find like super beautiful, and actually like even before I knew about Taylor or her books and like how popular they are, I always seen this book in the bookstore, and I was like, oh my god, I have to get it because it's, I don't know, I just love it. Like, come on, look at this. It has an alternative cover and on the paperback, and I hate that cover. But this one, love it. Well, after watching The Summer I Turned Pretty, the TV show, I have to read the books because it seems like I really need to know what happens next in that story. And this one, 7 Days in June, I haven't read it yet. I bought it just like 2 months ago. It's a book that, I don't know, it always calls me. You know when you go to the bookstore or you just see the cover and you feel like you have to have it? Well, that's for me, this book. I don't know why. Yes, I'm going to definitely be reading this very, very soon. And last but not least, favorite book to movie adaptation. For here, I will also take the chance to talk about TV shows, so not only movies, because I actually went through like all the books that are becoming movies, and these are the ones that I like the most. First one for me was Conversation with Friends. I love the book, but the TV show, I think that it's even better. And there's something about the Sally Rooney books that when they make it a TV show, it's actually like so well done, and the music is so beautiful, and the way that they treat the whole story, it adds up so much to what you already have in your mind about these characters that I just love it. I feel like I was actually living that story. The songs, incredible. And then the second one is the one that I was mentioned before, The Summer I Turned Pretty. It has amazing songs. I think that the story is super cute. I like the characters. I like that even if it's a story, like teenager story, it's still very relatable to all ages, growing up and coming of age, finding love, all these things. I think they were like really nicely developed, and I really like the characters. I think that the actors were amazing, they were doing a great job. And one of the movies that I'm super excited that it's just coming next week, it's Where the Crawdads Sing. I read the book last year and I love the book. I really like the story as well. And the girl who is starring in the movie is actually the girl who starred in Normal People, and I think she's an amazing actress. So I'm going to be seeing that very, very soon, and I'm going to let you know what I think about that. If you want to know more about that, just like put it in the comments and I will make a specific video about that. This is the end of the video, and I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to be back next week with another video. I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah!